I went from 150 colonies to 9 colonies in 5 months during the winter. And what happened? Let me explain to you what happened. But first, consider I had over 200 colonies last year. Now I have just a handful, 9, may not even have 9 here in a few days. So it was very depressing. So the only thing that made me feel better was to go out and buy another puppy. I'm into mushing now. So I have 2 pairs here, 2 males, 2 females. They're all Siberian Huskies. The girls are agoutis, and this is a agouti woolly. So my biggest issue now is to keep all these frames from having wax moths on them. And the ones that are on the concrete are the ones where the last hive bodies that had bees in them. So they had wax moths started in them. So I set them out, and it's going to get cold this weekend, down to 30, maybe even 20s. So let me pause. You know, I have this room here. It helps me out through the winter. I can do hive inspections. I can combine colonies. And in the past, it has always saved a lot of my colonies. I've never started with small colonies going into winter, but I did that last year because I created 150 new colonies. I lost some from robbing. My goal was to make a bunch of colonies and find somebody who would want to buy them, but I was so busy with the construction project, I didn't make enough calls. I didn't find anybody to buy my honeybees, and all I could do was take my large colonies, break them down, take the honey away, and kill all the queens that looked old, that were over 2 years old. I killed all those queens, and I made a bunch of small colonies, and they were too small. So this is the room that gets me through winter, but it didn't help out this last winter here. And this is my dark room. I bring them in and out, bring them in here. This is my construction project. Bring them in here, keep them out of the cold and keep them dark. And then the other room was for colonies that I planned on inspecting. They're like other colonies that would never go out because they were too small. Oh, and that storage up there, not hardly enough. This is the construction project that I started back in 2022, September 2022. Broke my garage floor up, started digging. I was going to connect the side of my garage to the side of my house. So I had to finish this basement before winter last year. I didn't start putting the rebar in until August 1st because June and July I was so busy doing my mating nukes, I didn't have time to do much with it. So August 1st, I was all done with the mating nukes, and it was a big rush to get this done. And robbing also started beginning of August, end of July, and I couldn't really open hives in the afternoon, so it's very limited on how much time I could spend doing hive inspections. And by September, things got out of control. The robbing got out of control. I lost some of my new colonies from robbing, being robbed and killed. And then all my colonies end up with varroa mites. So here I got more storage here. And we've had a warm spell, but it's going to get cold this weekend. And I'm thinking about if I were to take this wall out right here and set these all out in here, they get enough light. And if I do it before it gets cold, none of these have, I don't think they have wax moths in them yet, but they will. Because I went through every one of these. And what I did is I pulled out the frames that didn't have anything built on them. They didn't have pollen, or they weren't brown. Let's see if I can't pull one out. But anyway, it took me 2 weekends to sort through all my frames. These are the ones that'll get wax moths. If I don't really want to use the crystals. Well, if I did use crystals, what I've got here is I've got a shim, and I put down a piece of OSB because I didn't want to ruin my floor. Some OSB, a shim, and a screen. And if I was going to put crystals in here, I'd put it in here. And then I would wrap this whole group of hive bodies with clear plastic and painter's tape, seal it up really good, but leave those holes down at the bottom exposed. And I was going to do the same thing at the top. I was going to put a screen on top and a shim, and then a piece of OSB over that, and I was going to lay plastic on top, seal that up, and then cut the hole on top of the screen Well, the screen would be on this, and then the shim, I was going to cut a hole in the plastic above the screen and put the shim, and I wouldn't be worried about wax moths getting into the shim. But anyway, I was going to seal it up really tight, keep the wax moths out. But it would be nice if I could lay these all out on his floor here and not have to do all that stuff with plastic and stuff. So let me pause again. Well, here they are. I just had these in overnight, or maybe 2 nights, and I brought them out this morning before noon, and one of them didn't have any bees going in and out, and checked it, and it was the bees are dead. So I'm down to 9, and it's even questionable if I'm going to make it to May with these 9. See, what happens is, I've been doing this for 11 years, and last year was the first time that I decided to, I didn't kill all the colonies that were small, kill their queens, because most of them were brand new colonies. I just couldn't do it, and unfortunately nobody called and wanted to buy any. It would be a commercial beekeeper, somebody that was going south would come over here. I didn't want to sell the hive. They come over here, put my bees in their hive and load them up on a truck and take them south, or feed them here before they take them south. But it wouldn't be anybody that lived around here, because you wouldn't be able to keep them outside. So anyway, what happens is, I've always had trouble with my bees getting through winter, because instead of living 5 to 6 months through winter, what they say on Google it, how long does a honeybee last or live through winter? And it'll say, some will say 5 months, some say 6 months. I can only get 3 to 4 months. And then I admit, the varroa mites got out of control last fall. I didn't have the proper tools to do a single acid for over 200 colonies. So I went on eBay looking for a deal, and I got one of those ProVap 110s for $300 at the end of September. So basically, I didn't start treating until the very end of September. So the whole month of October, I treated for varroa mites. And every colony had varroa mites. But by November, I got rid of the varroa mites. But if the colonies were exposed to varroa mites and they picked up the viruses from the varroa mites, so the bees have the virus, and then the bees give it to the other bees thereafter you get the varroa mites out, then they're still doomed. Okay? So anyway, going into November, my colonies gotten smaller, and by December 1st, I had 150 colonies. So let me, I don't really want it. It's cool out right now. It's in the 50s. This is a screen and a hole, so I'm not going to open up any hives. There's nothing else I can do. What I did was December, January, and February, if I had small colonies, I would take some bees from larger colonies, try to keep those colonies all the same going into February. And then I was going to try Honey Bee Healthy. I was going to put that in the syrup. And then I also had some pollen substitute from the Don, and I put all that stuff in the hives at the beginning of February. It didn't help. None of the queens started laying. So the colonies got smaller in February, and I was down to 100 colonies on March 1st. And March was my most losses I've ever had as a beekeeper, and it's a really difficult experience to get through. But let me show you why they die. It's from the crop farmers' chemicals. Okay, I'm now looking north. That's my property, my house, on the other side of those spruce trees. Okay, during the spring and the summer, the wind usually comes from the southwest. This farmer here in 2019 was out planting corn early in the morning, and I came back home around noon, and my bees are coming out of the hive dying, and it was very windy that day. The wind was coming from this field, and he was just out there planting, and my bees started coming out of the hive dying. They died within a few hours. And then I called the family, and I knew them. They never came out to apologize, so the next day I called the state of Michigan. They acted like they were so concerned about my bees. They came out and they took samples. And then a month after that, they told me, yep, they died from the chemicals that crop farmer used that day. So I thought, good, maybe I'll get somebody do something about it. Maybe he'll get in trouble. So then a month after that, so now it's almost 3 months, I get a letter in the mail. They didn't have the guts to call me. They sent a letter in the mail saying it wasn't windy that day. That farmer did nothing wrong. So I lost $1,000 worth of bees. It was all the hives that were facing south. See, they tried to tell me it was the foragers that went out and brought the chemicals back in, but no, I know what nurse bees look like. The nurse bees were the ones that were coming out that day, coming out of the hive. The foragers were, most of the foragers were out flying. They had no reason to be over here because it was May. There was nothing growing here. They would have been other places. This hayfield here, okay? So the reason why my bees have a hard time during the winter is because of all these chemicals. It gets into the hive. Like, say for instance, you're in your house and your windows are all closed up and you spray paint something in your house, you know, strong spray paint, you know, smell. It gets everywhere in the house, even if you don't have any wind or anything. But when you're here on this planet, it doesn't matter. If a farmer does something half mile away or a mile away, the wind's coming from that direction, the planet is not that big when you consider all the farmers. If you look on, you Google how much glyphosate's used in this country, North America, it's all over. And look, don't be deceived by these trees over there. On the other side of those trees, there's more fields, okay? I estimate it's 90% crop fields around me, 10% trees, okay? That's what's killing my bees. That's what shortens their life. And let me tell you something else. All right, while I'm showing you the stuff in my shed, the reason why the commercial beekeepers don't say anything, their bees go south during the winter. Their queens keep laying. They have to get ready for the almonds in February. They make a lot of money. They're not losing any money with these chemicals the crop farmers put in the environment. It's the beekeepers that are up north. You know, if you live in Vermont or some state where you don't have a lot of crop farmers, your bees are probably doing just fine. If you're watching somebody on YouTube, their bees are doing great, ask where they live, okay? I live in the center of Michigan. My wife has had a double mastectomy. She got breast cancer from living here 30 years. All of my neighbors have cancer. I had my wife bring home a puppy from here, this area. It developed idiopathic epilepsy. All right? So that's another... If they don't know what's causing something, they just give it a title. And they say, okay, it has a title. We're good. The system doesn't really want to figure out what's going on. Because I saw when my wife went to get her cancer treatments, the hospitals are making a lot of money. And who owns the hospitals? The rich people, okay? You guys got to figure this out. Your government works for the rich. Everything is set up for the rich to make more money. For somebody like me, that's busting my ass for 11 years. I want to be a commercial beekeeper, and I don't want to go south. I just want to have bees here and sell honey. I'm never going to be able to do it. And nobody gives a shit about me, okay? The crop farmers in my area don't care. I've been outside during the summer several times, and I'll smell chemicals, and I hear a tractor from the area and I go over there, and if the wind's coming from that area, and I can smell it, I go over there and ask, what are you spraying? And if they say glyphosate, they don't give a shit, okay? It's killing your bees. It's making you get sick. The shit's in your food, all right? And you guys don't care. And you guys are going to vote for Trump thinking it's going to change. If Trump's reelected, which he will be reelected, the deep state will still run this country, okay? The deep state has been running this country for decades and decades, okay? The Federal Reserve is basically part of the deep state. They control the money. So it's for us people who don't have money, you're never going to have money because rich people always have a way to take it from you, okay? So I was thinking there's something else I want to say. Oh, okay, another thing, the commercial beekeepers, they're making money as things are now. They requeen every year. And I can guarantee you, those old queens are put in packages along with their bees that are wore out from all that pollinating. And then they'll sell them to backyard beekeepers. Don't you think they want a steady stream of people that want to replace their bees? I'm not replacing those bees if they die. If I lose those bees, I'll just start, I'm going to take the wax, I'm going to render all this wax this summer, and I'll just start selling my hives and frames and stuff without bees, okay? I'm done. If these bees die out, I'm done. If I can keep some, I'll do a split, a walk-away split, end of June, and see if I can get some new queens. It's good to have new queens, and then I'll I'll take and make some big colonies, and I'll put them underneath. If you see my videos from years ago, I'd put them underneath this roof, and I put insulation board around them. And I'll just start gaining again, like I did before. I've been doing this for 11 years. It's not the first time I've lost a lot of bees, but I'll just keep rebuilding my colonies until I'm hoping someday when the economy completely crashes, and you know, we're not the good guys anymore. We're supporting Israel and killing Palestinians. We are the Nazis of the 20th century. We're not the good guys, and we're killing people. Since 1945, the United States has been responsible for killing 20 million people around the world, okay? The rest of the world's getting tired of all these sanctions the United States putting on them. The dollar is not going to control its system, the world money system in the future. We're going to see a decline here of U.S. power. Our government's going to be defeated militarily overseas. Russia doesn't want to come here. China doesn't want to come here. What will happen is our government will collapse, and 50% of Americans are getting their income from the government, and they will not get their income anymore. You will not be able to get food at a grocery store. See, I've been driving around Michigan with a Z and a V on the back of my truck for a year and a half, and nobody knows what this represents. I'm not going to tell you. You figure it out, okay? You know, Julian Assange has been rotting in a prison in England for 5 years, and all he did was expose U.S. war crimes. And look what they're doing to him, okay? Our government is evil. Americans seem to think your government is on your side. What they do with all the jobs in this country, they sent them to China, and they've also sent them to Mexico, okay? They're making you poor. They want your kids to go to college to get in debt, all right? My kids are both in their 30s, and neither one of them have a house, neither one of them are married, neither one of them have children, so I'm not even a grandfather yet, okay? You guys don't seem to understand. The government's not on your side. If Trump's on TV and these presidential debates, he's a puppet of the system, because the system controls all the TV networks. If he wasn't going to play the game, everything's been going on with Trump the last few months with this court shit going on. It's all scripted by the deep state. He's playing a game. He's already had a TV show. He's an actor. Okay, it's part of the game. So go ahead, vote for him, but nothing will change. You have to overthrow the government. Every politician we have in Washington, D.C., or every politician in every United States, every state, down to your local township, they're nothing but criminals, okay? Senator Lindsey Graham, he talks about it's good to send money to Ukraine so we can kill Russians, okay? All that is the military-industrial complex wants a steady flow of all this money coming in. $880 billion a year is what they get already, but that's not enough. They want to send all this military equipment to Ukraine and get orders to replace it, okay? The government's corrupt. Our national debt increases by $1 trillion every 100 days, okay? That's the rich people sucking the money out of our country here, making us poor. If they put the money into the roads, infrastructure, making this a beautiful place to live, wouldn't it be so much nicer? But no, the money goes to the military-industrial complex. I could go on and on about what's going on in this country. You guys just don't seem to understand, all right? It's irritating for me to have to go through this year after year after year. You know, I'm busting my ass all winter long, lose my colonies because my bees don't live very long because of the toxic chemicals the crop farmers put in the environment. And my wife is all cut up, okay, from that crop farmer off there, his chemicals. I wouldn't have known this if I didn't have honeybees, okay? I never smelled those chemicals that day, but now I know my bees are having a hard time because of the chemicals the crop farmers put in the environment during the summer around here. My wife got breast cancer from the chemicals. None of the women in her family had breast cancer. I got a neighbor over there. His wife's got cancer. I got a neighbor next to me over there. He's got cancer. Okay? I'm just getting so sick of you guys. You guys are stupid. All right? I'm tired of this. I'm not going to make any more videos. All right? I'm done.